is Hellsing. Now, Hellsing is a manga about an organization that hunts down and kills vampires and other creatures. I've only read the first volume, so they're only killing vampires in that one. And one of the main there's three characters. There's the person that runs the organization, Helsing, and then there's one of the vampire hunters whose name is Okulkard. If I say that right. And then there's his assistant kind of person, and her name is Victoria. So those are three characters, and one thing I have to say is that this manga is really violent. Not that that was a bad thing, but it is. So if you're under a certain age, I would recommend reading this, because on the back it said 13 and up, but I was like, I don't know. So if you're 13 and you want to read this, ask your parents first before going off and buying it, because I don't want to get in trouble for recommending it to people. So overall, this is a really good manga. I'm not gonna lie. You know, these vampires are terrifying. They're what I want to say. They're what vampires are supposed to be kind of like. So it's really good, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. So far, really good. Can't give a final grade on it. If I was to say just for the first month, but for the first volume, A. It's really good, so I highly recommend going out. And so far, Okulkard is my favorite character. So far. There might be more to come. Or I might end up liking the other two. But he's my favorite. So, moving on to one that I've read more of, which is Fruits Basket. I've read 12 volumes right now, and there's 23. This, the artwork's very nice. This overall story is really good, and I really like the characters. My favorite character is Ayame, Yuki's brother. He's funny, and I think he really is trying his hardest to establish a relationship with his brother that he realized he should have done. He should have done that much earlier on in Yuki's life, but at least he's trying now. And that, he's showing that he does care for his brother, which is good. But yeah, he's my favorite character. The one thing I was gonna say is, at first, before I figured out what actually happens in the end, I thought Toru was gonna end up with Yuki. But then I did some looking around because I was trying to figure out who did the English voices in the anime. And I ended up reading by accident that she marries Kyo, which I'm fine with. Oh, really, if I had to choose, I'm fine with either of them ending up with her. It didn't really matter, because I knew they both loved her and, would have made her happy, so. The one interesting thing that I have to make a note on is that parents in this series, they're either really overprotective of their children, or they abandon them. Like Momiji's mom wanted to forget about him because he turns into a rabbit. She said, I'm thinking of the quote in the anime, let's see. The only thing I regret is having that thing come out of me. She said something like that, a mother to her child. There's no parent from the Soma family that actually really deeply cares for their children. too. That was something I had a problem with, but maybe as I read more and more in the series, I might realize, okay, well, there's a reason, you know, more than just them turning into an animal when they're hugged by someone of the opposite sex, and so on and so forth. Overall, a really good manga. I'm looking forward to finishing it, and so far it's an A plus rating overall. It's really good. I highly recommend going out and buying it. There's a lot of things that are very funny in it. You know, there's some things that are very sweet and romantic, little romance going on. There is some elements of, you know, let's say, obviously there's a mythology going on with, you know, the idea of the Chinese zodiac, which is one of the main features, so they have that going on. It's just really good overall, so I highly recommend it. And the last one is 1 Pound Gospel by Rumiko Takahashi. She's the only author I say just because I really love her works. I really do. And this is one video where I review one of her works. Yeah, I'll do another one where I do Ranma, Inuyasha, so on and so forth. But this one is very short. It's only 4 volumes long. It's one of her shorter ones. For example, Inuyasha is like 50 something volumes long. So, this one is a story about a boxer and a nun, or actually she's a nun in training, excuse me. And it, you know, shows him struggling with his training because he's doing weight training and he really likes to eat a lot, and she's struggling trying to with her feelings for him, and she wants to be devoted to God, but she's starting to slowly fall in love with him. So it's kind of a little story about how they figure out how they fall in love, in a sense. It's very adorable and really funny. There's so many times when you're like laughing your head off. It's a really great manga. The artwork is amazing. She doesn't disappoint me, really. So, great story. I'm not gonna lie, really good story. The characters are wonderful. You know, they're not boring or anything like that. They're great. You know, they're really funny. I think, you know, what was one? Oh, yes. Where the nun, Maria, that's her name, or Sister Angela, that's what she's called throughout most of the manga. So, Sister Angela's aunt takes her to like a, what do they call it? So she ends up having to owe this like host guy money, and it's really a funny thing how what situation she gets into because of her aunt. Her aunt wants her to get married and all this stuff because she doesn't believe that she should be a nun. But in the end, Sister Angela does leave the convent and goes and bees with the boxer. So it does get a little happy ending in the end. But this, I wish I could rate it higher than A+, but it's A+ all the way. I've read the entire thing, so it's really good. I highly recommend going to your library. Usually it's probably there. Or you can't buy it at Borders or anything like that now. But you can probably find it on Amazon.com or a used bookstore, or maybe in like a comic book collector place, or an anime one if you have one. I have one here in Tucson. It's called Our Galaxy, and they have a lot of anime there. Well, that's the video. Peace.